Have y'all ever had a friend that made you so mad or did something so wrong to you that you decided that you needed to sue them in court? Well, these Redditors that we're going to be covering today, they are in that exact situation where they are finding out that they have some pretty bad friends, and the only way to get their friend to cough up money is to actually sue them. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I could be the person to take my friend to court because they did something I didn't like or they cost me some money. Y'all got to let me know throughout this live stream. And if you're on the replay, throughout the replay, if you would sue your friends for the reason that these particular Redditors sued their friends for. Now, I will say some of the incidences are pretty valid. It makes sense of why they are deciding to sue their friends. So y'all definitely got to let me know. Let's go ahead and jump into the first Reddit story. All right, y'all. So the first story we have is, am I the a-hole for suing my friend? They don't really give us a lot of context there, right? They don't give us a lot of context in why they're actually suing their best friend, but I'm gonna tell you, I think this one is okay. Let's not even go into that. Imagine you're in college, you're happy to move in with your friends, and there's four of you, and you guys are going to enter into a lease together. What is the payment split that you think you would agree on? And if one person in the group did not pay their rent, what would you do? What would you do in the situation? Y'all already know the theme of the show. So you already know that this Redditor is going to sue their friend. So y'all just got to let me know whether his story is valid. So let's see. Last year, it's all funny looking on here. So let me fix that. So last year, I signed a 12-month group lease with four of my close friends. It just so happened that the C19, y'all know what we're talking about. We're going to call it C19 just so we don't get struck on the video. C19 hit right after we signed our souls to the devil. Essentially, our classes were switched to online and there was no longer a need to live close to campus. Anyway, I got an email from my landlord stating that one of my roommates had not paid the last 4 months of his rent. Let's call him Kevin. The landlord made it clear that if his outstanding balance was not paid by the end of the week, property management would be well within their right to send us to a collection agency, a credit union, or court. This could really F up our futures. So this understandably made everyone scared. After we received the email, the rest of us kept texting and calling Kevin only to be ignored. You are ignoring them? Okay, let's see. We tried being sympathetic, kind, and blunt. None of our approaches worked. Eventually, Kevin told us not to worry and that he was confident he could break his lease since he never actually moved in. Nothing happened. Surprise, surprise, nothing happened. This really pissed me off because while I was trying so hard to salvage the situation, spending hours researching tenancy laws, articles, our lease, and formulating payment plans, he was literally doing nothing. I was even angrier when I saw him partying and traveling on his IG stories instead of trying to fix the problem. And he was breaking C19 guidelines. I know I'm not his mom and I shouldn't be policing his actions. However, I'm infuriated to see that he was However, it infuriated me to see that he was putting zero effort into fixing the situation when the rest of us were putting in 110%. Now, the person that is not paying their rent is out partying, saying they're going to break their lease and not get in trouble, and not helping out the four other ones that are still living in this house trying to pay the rent. But he's out partying when we're supposed to be social distancing. Do y'all remember social distancing? I haven't heard that term in so long, but either way it goes, let's keep going. In the end, the roommates and I paid his overdue and upcoming rent at $7,500 total. So $7,500 is what they had to pay on behalf of Kevin, in addition to them paying their own rent. As a result, I forgot to even put the banner up. I did all these banners and forgot to put them up. As a result, I've had to shift my part-time schooling As a result, I've had to shift to part-time schooling while working a full-time job, and I'm currently searching for a second one. One of my other roommates is selling his new iPhone so that he can pay his portion of Kevin's rent. Long story short, I blew up at Kevin over FaceTime and threatened him with legal action. I know this wasn't the most mature way to handle the situation, but I was so frustrated with the lack of progress on his end. He accused me of being a bad friend and for extorting him. I feel bad for yelling at him. However, I really don't know how to get through to him. Lately, Kevin keeps saying that he'll chip in, but he hasn't taken any initiative to do so. As time goes on, I feel more and more like he only says this to shut me up. Some of our other mutual friends has been telling me not to take legal action and that I'm blowing this out of proportion. I don't want to do this either, but I've exhausted plans A through Z and see no other options. He's not even trying to fix the situation, yet he's the one that caused it. I never wanted to put a price on our friendship. I hate that money is getting between us. Our current relationship is strained at best, and I don't see things ever going back to the way they were before. I really can't afford this rent in addition to my own. So he's paying his rent and also Kevin's rent. I don't know what to do. So y'all got to let me know in the chat. Do you think that this OP is the a-hole for wanting to sue his friend over $7,500? And mind you, is being split, from my understanding, is being split between 4 people. So we're probably looking at $1,500 a piece, right? That they are having to pay, no, more than that, I guess closer to $2,000 a piece, that they are having to pay on behalf of their friend who is choosing not to pay the rent because he never actually moved into where they're living, a house or an apartment, and they are doing like remote learning, distance learning because of the C-19 virus that stopped us all and made us all social distance. Let's see what the comments have to say on the actual post. And then I will get into the comments on the live stream if anyone has an opinion on whether you think that OP is the a-hole, or if you think that the roommate Kevin is the a-hole in this situation. First comment says, not the a-hole. He's not your friend. He's a leech. Sue him for sure. So the comments on Reddit are like, no, you got to sue this guy. Yep. And call his parents. My brother had this problem and the kids' parents were appalled. So skipping out on a bill, you're a young adult. Your parents might help out the other kids. Let's see. It's actually his parents that are supposed to be paying the rent. However, they are refusing. So the commenter said, why don't you tell his parents on him? And it turns out that the parents are actually the ones not paying the rent on behalf of Kevin. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Then someone comments and says, yep, then your only choice is to sue them, likely in small claims court, like Judge Judy basically. It's not your fault that they're refusing to honor a written contract. You're not the a-hole for, they are. And then they put ETA. This kid is not your friend. ETA, I wonder what that stands for in this context. Anyway, either way, I'm going to say either way, he's not your friend. He stole $7,500 in cash from you and he would not be your friend. This is the same. Or if he stole $7,500 cash from you, he would not be your friend. This is the same. Also, if you know a lawyer who can write a scary letter, the parents might pony up the money without having to go through the suit. And sometimes universities have legal resources available to students for this kind of thing. You could also report him to an honor board if he's still a student. I'm sure this violates some type of university honors code. And then they put another edit. Hold up. Are you on separate leases? The fact that he's expected to pay separately is very curious to me. And is there a reason that the landlord only told you now that he hasn't paid 4 months? It seems like he told everyone. I think that commenter is just confused. Last one I'm going to read from the post. It says, not the a-hole, but sue him. $7,500 is so much money, but even more important is the principle of the whole thing. Keep receipts and texts and go after him. Show him paperwork and say, if I don't get this amount of money before this date, I'm suing you. How incredibly frustrating. I had to agree. I have to agree. Let me go ahead and see what the BriHive chat is saying and whether they think that this OP is the a-hole or if the friend is the a-hole. So we got Chelsea B saying not the a-hole. He left them hanging, but the $1,500 to $2,000 worth the time to maybe get it. Probably not. It depends on you. And like, would you rather waste time going through the court system? Could take 90 days before you actually even see a judge. If you get a judgment against him, is it even going to ever get paid? He'll just have it on his collections. It go away after 7 years. You have to be the one to collect it. The court's not going to collect it for you. So the question would be, do you want to spend your time suing him, especially if you're dividing it by 4 people, $1,500 to $2,000 plus whatever your filing fee might be, which is usually around $400 or so. So, and I'm pretty sure they're not saying that he owes 7.5 or 7,500 to each of them. I think his collective cost for all of them renting the place, each of them are paying like $7,500. And it's not even just the kid, it's the parents that's not helping pay for this. That is crazy to me. Phoenix Waller says, edit to add. That makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you. Destin to B, moderator of the channel, say, hey, everyone. Hello and welcome in. Hey to Chelsea B, welcome in. And we got Justice Jane coming in. Welcome in. Nice to have you in tonight. So I think the overall vote here is that this guy, Kevin, not OP, Kevin is the a-hole for not paying his rent, and his parents are even bigger a-holes for not paying rent. Like, come on, you're going to make struggling college students pick up extra shifts, go part-time. They're not even going to graduate on time because they're trying to clean up a mess that your kid actually made. So yes, I'm going to say Kevin and his parents are the a-hole, probably more of the parents being the a-hole because they're the adults in the situation. Yes, the kids in college are probably adults by legal standard, 18 years old, but they're still kids. They're trying to get ahead in life. They're trying to do the right thing, and your kid is basically screwing them up. So my vote is going to be, yes, you are the a-hole. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the next story, and y'all got to let me know whether y'all think this woman is the a-hole. So let's go ahead and have Bossy B bring us to the next story. All right. So we got, am I the a-hole for suing my best friend for injuries that he caused me? It's just, am I the a-hole for suing my best friend? And I'm going to say, I'm going to let y'all let me know whether this person would be an a-hole for suing their best friend. Does it depend on what the best friend does? In this case, this woman or young lady has some injuries. So am I the a-hole for suing my best friend? I, 18 female, am suing my best friend, 18 male. About 2 years ago, my best friend and I were driving to our high school when a car ahead of us lost control of his car because of reckless driving. This led to a 4-car accident with my best friend's car being totaled after he rear-ended the car in front of us. And I'm like, is there a car behind you? Of the 6 people involved in the crash, I was the only person who sustained injuries. I was taken to the hospital and wound up with over $200,000 in medical bills. My parents and I assumed that the driver at fault, not my best friend's insurance company, would cover this. However, that was not the case. The insurance company refused to pay for anything. Now, I'm going to let you know I did a little bit of personal injury. If your friend rear-ended someone, they're likely going to find that person to be partially at fault, unless that person like cut them off in traffic. But assuming that it was a 4-car pileup, and you're not saying that anyone hit him in the back, you're saying he rear-ended someone, and then you're not saying that someone then rear-ended him, they're probably going to find that he is somewhat at fault for this. So I like that she is taking her friend's side and saying he's not at fault, but it's likely that he has some type of fault in this accident, whether they want to admit it or not. So to prevent my family from being in hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and so she's 18 now. So this happened when they were 16, $200,000 worth of medical bills at 16 years old. That's a horrible way to start off your life, okay? Horrible debt to have starting off in life. So to prevent my family from being in hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, we hired an injury lawyer who promised to get the driver at fault insurance to cover my bills. Like I said, the friend is probably partially at fault. After hiring the lawyer and giving him all the information about the crash, I was very uninvolved to the point that I genuinely forgot that this was all going on. I was more concerned about making a full recovery and school. 1 week ago, 2 years after the crash, I got a call from my lawyer telling me I had to sign a demand agreement. This was a very long legal document detailing the crash, how I was injured, and asking for compensation. It totaled to asking for over $500,000. So she had $200,000 in medical bills, and she's asking for $500,000 in total, which will cover her medical bills and apparently the cost of her lawyer. I was under the impression that this document would not be given to the driver. I was under the impression that this document would only be given to the driver at fault. I was wrong. Again, the friend is probably also at fault here. My lawyer explained that he would be sending this demand to not only the driver at fault, but also to my best friend. Apparently, because my friend rear-ended the car in front of him in the crash, he is also considered at fault in the eyes of the insurance companies, and my lawyer wanted to take advantage of the fact to get more money. That is absolutely correct. You're following too closely. Had you not been following so closely, you would not have been the fourth car in the pileup. I'm assuming they were the fourth car in the pileup, potentially not paying attention, which is not crazy to say. This is a 16-year-old driving. One, he probably shouldn't have even been driving her in the car because normally, although you have a license, it's kind of still provisional and you can't drive with anybody unless they're over the age of 25 if you are just having your license. And what it seems like is that they were both 16 at the time, driving to high school. So it kind of seems like she shouldn't have been in the car anyways. But if he's the one rear-ending a pileup, they're going to find you at fault as well. Sorry about that. Let's see. He wanted to take advantage of the money. I protested, stating that the crash was not my friend's fault and asking he not be involved. In response, my lawyer told me if I did not sign the document, he would cancel the case and my family would be responsible for paying my medical bills and paying the lawyer compensation for the past 2 years he spent working on this case. It would total over $500,000. How in the world did the attorney spend $500,000 getting this case together and she hadn't even been communicated with in 2 years? That's insane to me. Because I did not want to be in so much debt, I signed the documents and they were sent to my best friend and the driver's fault insurance. Now my best friend has stopped all communication with me and has isolated me from my entire friend group. I spoke to his mother about the situation and she is very understanding and saying she doesn't blame me. I am so angry that I was forced into doing this, but I genuinely don't know what else I could do. So am I the a-hole for suing my best friend? I'm wondering if the best friend has a higher insurance policy, and that's why the attorney felt it necessary to also go after the friend's insurance. And in my opinion, she is not the a-hole. Y'all let me know what y'all think. She is actually going after the friend's insurance, not him. Now, what could happen is if his insurance doesn't pay up, and this attorney who seems a bit grimy and slimy to me, he might decide to take it to actual court. And if he's taking a court, the friend can be held liable personally if they go to court. So I see where she's coming from. But at this point, hopefully the insurance company pays out. I would really be asking for some accounting from my attorney, because how did he rack up $500,000, or I guess $300,000 worth of expenses? So $200,000 for her medical bills and then $300,000 for the attorney's actual work on the case. How did he rack up that much expenses when he hadn't, from what she's telling the story, she was so uninvolved that she forgot it was going on? I'm going to assume he was not really talking to his client. So what the heck was he doing for 2 years to rack up $300,000 worth of attorney's fees without actually going to jail? I would like to know. I might actually say your attorney is the a-hole in this situation. I don't think this friend is an a-hole in this situation. He's young. He probably doesn't understand what it means, or he does understand that if it does go to court, that he could be held financially responsible, or it's going to shoot up his insurance. I mean, it makes sense. You're 16, you had an accident. You kind of got to expect that it's going to make your insurance go up. His mom doesn't even seem to be upset and understands the situation, when his mom is probably the one paying for his insurance, being that he probably just turned 18. This happened when he was 16. So I think the friend is being a little bit naive and not really understanding what's going on, but slightly also understanding that if it has to go to court, then he could be personally liable. liable. The thing is, she doesn't have to try to collect against him. She doesn't have to enter the judgment against him. So I would be looking more at the lawyer and the lawyer's accounting and what he has going on over there, because that is absolutely ridiculous. $300,000 over 3 years and not really communicating with your client. And from the looks of it or the sounds of it, she probably hasn't even been to the doctor in a long time because she forgot that she was even going through the case. So I would assume she's not constantly going to the doctors and being coached by her attorney or anything of that nature. So let's go ahead and see what the comments have to say about this whole situation. Is the writer the a-hole? The first comment says, "You're fine. The lawyer is just going after available insurance, not after your friend." Like I said, on the surface, that's what they're doing. So long as the insurance pays out before it has to be filed with the court, the friend essentially has no liability but a potential increased premium that his parents are probably paying. It's your friend's insurance that will be sued, not your friend personally. Again, same thing. If the friend's insurance is paying out, doesn't that severely increase the insurance amount the friend pays in the future? It could potentially increase his rates. Nah, you weren't given much of a choice to sign, but your friend has every right to be pissed. Someone backed into my parked car and their insurance absolutely did not fault me at all and paid me out. Not the exact same, I know, but it may not be so cut and dry. If the police agrees that the ex-friend is not at fault, it's not like their insurance is going to roll over for yours. That's not how it works in my experience. And so the thing about it is the police can say you're not at fault, but the police doesn't know everything. People come to me all the time. Well, the police said I can get a restraining order. Well, the police doesn't know how to file for a restraining order in a civil court. They know how to give emergency protection orders, but they don't know how to get a restraining order in the family court or in the civil court. And they definitely probably don't know how court works when it comes to accidents, especially if they've never been in an accident and experienced it. Although we have these insurance companies, y'all, they do not like to pay out. They're going to try everything that they can not to have to pay this insurance claim. So if they can say, well, yes, we were at fault, but so was your driver, so we're only going to pay 50% of the claim. So let's say she was entitled to $100,000 from the first insurance, but since they're finding the friend 50% at fault, then she only gets $50,000, right? They can cut that in half in order not to be fully liable. And then she would need to go to his insurance to get as much money as possible. And if neither of them had insurance, she could go after her own insurance carrier. So a lot going on there. I don't think that this OP is the a-hole. I think that the attorney might be, though. I do think that the attorney might be. Welcome into Carly Raider. Let's go ahead and jump into the chat and see what y'all got to say. Hello, Carly Raider, saying hello, lovely. Hello, and welcome in. Phoenix Waller says, is the lawyer's name Jeanette? Janet, sorry. Because that sounds like what Jeanette Brown pulled with the cosmetic company she was working with on a contingency. I don't know if I'm familiar with that one. I don't know. I looked into the TikTok lawsuit that Jeanette Braun and Lauren the Mortician has, and nothing has happened since like June. I checked like a couple weeks ago, so maybe I need to check again. Chelsea B says, not the a-hole. That sucks, but what is insurance for? It's exactly what insurance is for. And again, I highly doubt, and I could just be speculating, but I highly doubt that he's the one actually paying his insurance. I'm sure it's his parents. Now, eventually, he'll probably have to take over the insurance, but like, dude, she's not suing you. She's suing her insurance, and you should really want your friend to be okay. Sounds like he's not really your friend, in my opinion, right? Let's see. Destiny B says, can the friend still be held liable if they were a minor, or will it default to the parents? So that's a good question. I don't know if they're a minor. I think you could still have no, the parents will be responsible if he was still a minor. But remember, this is 2 years later. Even though he was a minor at the time, he's an adult now. And if it's within the statute of limitations, which it might not be, depending on what state they're in, because in California, the statute of limitation for personal injury is 2 years. And they're just now sending demand letters after 2 years. Yeah, your attorney sucks. I don't know what the heck they're doing. I don't know why they took so long to send a demand letter. But 2 years is the statute of limitation for personal injury in California. So just depending on what state they're in, they might even be too late to sue him in court. But now that he's 18, he would be liable. But if he was 16, it would default to the parents because minor children do not have jobs. They don't have income, so you can't sue them directly. And parents are responsible for their kids. Destin DeBee says, also the attorney is the a-hole. Yeah, this attorney sounds like he sucks. There's no reason why it should have taken 2 years for him to send a demand letter. And there's no reason why he should have incurred $300,000 worth of expenses. This guy sounds really, really slimy to me, but I could just be judgmental. Carly Rader says, edit to add is everyone is the a-hole. You think so? I don't think that OP is. Like, she has injuries, she has bills that her parents, right? Because her parents would have incurred when she was a child. Her parents got to pay for, And that's your best friend. You should want your insurance to pay for it. Destin B says, well, that answered my question. Yeah. Carly Rader says, ESH. I don't know what that one means. Everyone sucks here. Oh. I don't know why when I am live, I cannot put that together. But as soon as you guys type it out, that makes sense to me. It makes so much sense. I don't know why it's not registering in my brain. Okay. Carly Rader says OP is not the a-hole. I agree with you there. And Phoenix Waller says, moral of the story, get a dash cam. Yeah, exactly. My inclination is that if he rear-ended someone, he is somewhat responsible. Maybe not for all of the injuries, but for some of them, because as soon as the insurance company hears that you rear-ended someone, they're going to say that you were following too closely. Now, it'll be different if you were in your lane, they were in their lane, and they cut in front of you. That would be different. But if you were just following too closely and the person in front of you hit that person and the person in front of them hit that person, and you still got the nerve to hit that person, you done seen them crashing for at least 5 seconds, it lets us know that you were following too closely and you did not have enough time to stop. Another argument can be just negligence because he's 16 and maybe he didn't recognize that an accident was happening. His reaction time is going to be a lot slower than someone that's been driving for 15 years. He's 16 years old, so he's probably only been driving maybe 6 months before he turned 15 under the provisional, and then he got his license. At max, even if he's like 16 and 11 months, at max, he's only been driving for a year. So I could say it's inexperience, still negligent, still responsible, right? Carly Rader says, I was sued at 17 for an accident in Utah. How did that go? What did they sue you personally? I mean, 17, sometimes states will consider that legal for certain things, but usually under the law, it's 18. So did they sue you or your parents? Were you responsible or were your parents responsible? I would love to know. But 16, I'm thinking is probably going to fall more on the parents. 17 is kind of like iffy because sometimes, I'm thinking maybe age of consent, but maybe that's not the same for legal. I don't know. Never thought about suing children. So I never really looked into that. Okay, I think the overall vote on that one is that OP is not the a-hole. So let's go ahead and jump into the next one. Let's see. Suing friends. Is it right or is it wrong? Would you sue your friend over money? That is the question we're seeking to answer tonight. If y'all haven't already, please do hit the like button. We got 10 people watching live and only 9 likes. So I know there's at least one person that has not hit the like button. So please help us out and hit the like button if you haven't already. Let's go ahead and jump into the next one. I'm not saying case tonight. Last time we did this, I kept saying the case. Am I the a-hole for suing my friend for our failing business? Okay. And in their post, they're saying, am I the a-hole for suing my ex-friend for a failing business? Y'all got to let me know. Do you think it's wrong? Do you think it's right? Should we sue our friends? Maybe not. But let's see. We're kind of already 2 stories deep in people suing their friends or thinking about suing their friends or suing their friends. And y'all, there is actually not a lot of Reddit stories. I thought there would be a lot of Reddit stories about suing friends. Like maybe because they become your enemies once you get to the point of suing them. But there's not a lot of stories about it. I thought it would be more. People are more suing their family. Okay, so am I the a-hole for suing my ex-friend? I, 32 male, was friends with a woman, 34 female, who lives in my neighborhood. We did something like a business venture together that did not work out, and after that, the relationship broke down. None of us suffered significant harm from this failing, but I had a good cause to believe that she had really wronged me. I decided to sue her over this, and my lawyer also felt I was right and she had wronged me. I took a very good lawyer who has high fees. So he incurred all this money, y'all. The case is being heard, and my lawyer recently requested me to get some evidence I had access to that would serve as additional proof. However, when I requested this, I realized that I had been wronged by someone else and she was completely innocent. I showed this to my lawyer, and he said we should not produce this evidence and that he is confident we will win with the other evidence. I probably should have named this lawsuit Slimy Lawyers, because what do you mean? What were we talking about on Diddy yesterday? Exculpatory evidence. You have exculpatory evidence that can clear the friend's name, and you're not going to produce the evidence? Okay, I'm making a Diddy argument at this point. I never thought I would say this, but we're making Diddy arguments, okay? I already have to pay my lawyer for his work so far, and I was counting on winning the case to afford his services. This is a civil case and not a criminal one, and I cannot give identifying details about the case, about what the case is about. I feel a little bad since she is a single mom, and I know it has been a little hard for her lately for reasons other than the venture with me not working out. Am I the a-hole here since I did not know when I filed the case that I will accept whatever. Sorry, let me go back. Am I the a-hole here since I did not know when I filed the case, and I will accept whatever judgment I get from the courts? Sir, so you sued your friend saying she did you dirty. You're doing discovery on your own documents that maybe you should have looked through from the beginning, or maybe your lawyer should have asked for it before filing the lawsuit. And you find evidence that says it's not her that wronged you. And you go, I am going to continue with the case because I've incurred all of these lawyer fees that now I would have to be responsible for because I jumped the gun and decided to sue her before I had all the information, before I looked for all the information to prove that she did me wrong. Now, I definitely understand thinking that you have all the evidence that you need, and then the day before you come up with an idea and you say, hey, do you have a copy of this? Okay, I need that. I definitely understand that. But as soon as you found this out, you should have been trying to settle the case. But instead, you're going to go forward, incur more attorney's fees, and continue to sue this single mom who did nothing wrong, who you're admitting did nothing wrong. Okay? Let's see what the comments on the post have to say. Your lawyer is committing a serious ethics violation. I would agree with that. But also, if they didn't ask to do discovery and they didn't ask for the documents and then they're not giving it to them, then technically it's probably malpractice on his half. Well, no, because if he wins, then there's no malpractice, actually. Is it ethical? No. But if they asked for the document, and also you're not being candid with the court. So yeah, I was trying to say whether he was being unethical or not, but yeah, the attorney is definitely being unethical. I think the attorney is the a-hole, and OP is the a-hole, because why are you listening to that lawyer? It's your friend. Apologize. You lost out on some money. Let it go. You shouldn't have sued her anyways, because you yourself said that neither one of you really lost out on a lot in the business failing. So why are you suing her? That's your fault. You and your lawyer are some a-holes. Someone says, yep, lawyer could lose his license for this, not being candid with the court, trying to present evidence, but not including the exculpatory evidence, like Diddy wants. Fire him and report him to the opposing counsel immediately. I'd consult with a different attorney and find out if payment can be avoided with the threat of an ethics violation. That's a good idea. That is a good idea. Get another lawyer to threaten your lawyer. Someone says, now I'm not a lawyer, but that sounds like blackmail. The person responds and says, you misunderstood as far as getting one lawyer to threaten the other lawyer. You misunderstand because the lawyer wanted to hinge OP's case on an action that threatened to get him a violation, suggests no fees might be owed. OP hired the lawyer with the expectation that he would provide good legal advice, which he is actively avoiding doing. That is, he knows the laws and he decided to do something else and does not deserve his fees. I think that's a good idea. Have somebody else threaten him. Threaten him. Let's see what the BriHive has to say on this one. Okay. So we got Chelsea B saying, you're the a-hole. What a loser. Yeah, OP is the a-hole. Why are you suing this lady knowing that she did not do what you think she did? Destin B says, right. Agreeing with Chelsea B. Carly Rader says, you're the a-hole. Lawyer is the a-hole as well. The whole plaintiff side is the a-hole at this point. Mary Jane Really Not Sarah says, oh, I'm late. That's no problem. Welcome in. Nice to have you in. Justin to be says, it's all good. Glad you made it into Mary Jane. Yes, of course. And then I saw some comments come in from Carly Rader that was saying about the lawsuit. Granted, I didn't fight it. There was no way I wouldn't come out of being judgment proof in the next 8 years. Come at me. Okay. So yeah, they sued you directly versus your parents. Okay, that makes sense. And then this was for the last one. Phoenix Waller says, the problem with being cut off is that police still write it up as following too closely. Really? Even if they cut them off? Usually it's the person switching lanes that would be liable. Let's see. Carly Rader says, go after the lawyer and his license. Yeah, I think that might calm your lawyer down with the fees. Or at least give you some type of discount. You made a mistake. It's going to cost you something because you made a mistake. You shouldn't have jumped the gun and filed the lawsuit without doing a lot of research, right? We got Deacon Fatal, member and moderator of the channel, been a member for 32 months. Shout out to you. Where we go? Where's our applause? Welcome in. Nice to have you in. Saying I have 99 problems, but this isn't one of them. LOL. Yep. That is true. We're just trying to figure out who is the a-hole. Who's the a-hole in the situation? I'm gonna go OP and the lawyer is the a-hole. I don't think the friend is the a-hole. I don't think the other lawyer is the a-hole. I think OP should drop the lawsuit, apologize, and try to get some money taken off of his fees because his lawyer is being unethical and is not advising him properly. Probably threatening him with malpractice or an ethics violation or reporting him to the bar. And maybe he will calm down and say, you know what? Never mind. You owe me $5,000, but how about you only pay me $2,500? Yeah, you made a mistake by filing the lawsuit. You have to cut your losses. You shouldn't have sued her in the first place, saying that neither one of you took a big loss. So what was the point? What was the reason? Okay, what was the reason that you did this? Okay. Deacon Fatal says, hi, Bree in chat. Hello and welcome in. Tanya D saying, hi, good to see you to Deacon Fatal. Mary Jane saying hi to Deacon. Yes, of course. Welcome in. Welcome in. If y'all are live or on the replay, make sure you're hitting the like button. Help us out in the algae rhythm. Okay. Oh gosh. Let's go ahead and see what the last story for tonight has for us. Where is Bossy B? Bring us in. All right, y'all. We got Am I the A-hole for suing my friend for writing a book about me. Now, I know a lot of us, we think we are very special and people should write a book about our lives. This OP is highly upset that her friend is writing a book about her, which is crazy. How do you write a book about someone and not even ask them for permission to write a book about them? So let's see. Would I be the a-hole for suing my friend after she wrote a book about me? I, 29 female, have a friend called Maya. Maya and I have been friends for 9 years after meeting at university. Maya went through a lot of mental health issues in her early mid-20s, which impacted her career prospects. But a couple of years ago, she found an outlet in writing and now writes and publishes her stories online. They are of the spicy romance variety. Why did I say romance like that? They are of the spicy romance variety. I've never read any of them because they're just not my thing, but I know she has a lot of regular readers. Recently, Maya shared that she had been contacted by a small publishing company which publishes ebooks who were interested in publishing one of the stories she had been sharing online. I was ecstatic for her, and it was a move towards making writing a profession, which is what she really wants. About 3 weeks ago, a mutual friend of ours, Amy, contacted me and asked me if I had read any of Maya's current stories, as she had looked it up online and she thought it had some eerie similarities to my life. Imagine reading a book and the main character is going through some crazy stuff and you go, you know what? This sounds like OP's life. Her life is screwed up like this. This sounds just like her. I'm going to call her and ask her if she gave this person permission to write books about them. That is bad that your friend recognizes that. I guess it's good because at least they were able to warn you, right? I looked it up and read a big chunk of it, and it was more than just similarities. It was basically a melodramatic reimaging of my life, especially about my relationship with my fiance and my complicated relationship with my father. I don't know how relevant this is, but she also altered the characters in certain situations to make the plot pretty toxic. So as if OP's life was not bad enough, her friend made it made it worse in the book. Insane. I was devastated and disgusted, to say the least. I met up with Maya and asked how I was devastated and disgusted, to say the least. I met up with Maya and asked how she could do this to me. Her explanation was that she was so inspired by my life and the things I told her that the ideas just came to her. That's not ideas. That's not ideas. I kept saying they weren't her ideas. Yeah, because they're not. They were sensationalized details of my real life. She didn't have a single original thought in the whole story, but you said that she made it more toxic. So yeah, she did have some originating things because it's a little bit more extreme than your actual life. So you're wrong. Maya apologized profusely for hurting me and that she was embarrassed by how much she had taken Maya apologized profusely for hurting me and that she was embarrassed by how much she had taken from my life, but she really loved writing the book. I told her I wasn't comfortable having my private life aired like that. Maya said nothing in the book was identifiable as me, so it wasn't like she'd done anything illegal. And I said, well, we'll see about that. And the thing about it is it was identifiable because your friend figured it out. Like, I understand maybe strangers won't figure it out, but your own friend and maybe your family might figure out that it's you, and they might think that you're selling their life story to your friend to write this book. I've contacted lawyers and they've said suing her would be largely pointless in terms of stopping the book from being published, but starting legal proceedings might scare a small publishing company enough to drop her as an author. I am seriously considering doing this. Worst case, I can't do anything to stop the book going ahead, but I've caused her an iota of stress and hurt she's caused me. Best case, this creepy project never sees the light of day. A couple of my friends are saying I shouldn't sue her because at the end of the day, this is her work and an opportunity for her to make a career for herself and take care of her and her child. After all she's been through, because at the end of the day, this is her work and an opportunity for her to make a career for herself and to take care of her child after all that she's been through. I know this could ruin things for her and I might be acting out of anger, but I really think it's justified after she betrayed my trust like this. Would I be the a-hole if I went ahead with suing? Questions that need answers. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize this when I pulled this story. That's literally the plot of The Best Man. Yes, it is. It literally is. I didn't even notice this when I pulled this story. Oh my gosh. There's an edit and an update. For everyone talking about the Streisand effect, I am not in the U.S. court/legal I'm not in the US. Court/legal records are not something you can Google or access easily. That being said, I realized Maya could publicize the lawsuit herself to get publicity, and that ultimately I am more concerned about anonymity and being anonymous. I can never say that word. And it's not worth the risk. I would not be proceeding with the lawsuit. Aw, I wish she would. Some people suggested reaching out to the publisher privately, and I'm going to look into that. But either way, I won't drag it out into the court process. And I guess being private is more important than, kind of getting your point across, because we've seen it in lawsuits over and over again. I want them to stop doing this. I want them to stop putting out the music. I need an injunction, right? Don't put the book out. I need an injunction. And they're probably not going to give you the injunction because money is enough to basically cure the defect if it was wrong for her to publish the book, if there's a defamation in there, if they're using her story against her will, all of the things, whatever she sues her for, an injunction is not likely to be granted, okay? So comments on this post says, you would be the a-hole, but not for the reason that you think. You seem so revenge focused that you are not thinking about additional long-term damage that you may recklessly cause to yourself. The lawyers are correct that you don't really have a case, but the threat of legal action could dissuade a small publisher from going forward. This, however, is a double-edged sword since the author and the publisher can use legal action as free publicity. Also, keep in mind that filing a lawsuit is a matter of public record. A lawsuit can forever attach this book to you, since Googling you will probably result in finding out that there is a trashy novel that you say is based on your life story. In all likelihood, this book won't be a hit and will pretty much just die on the vine. And the most it will become will be a great conversation piece when you're older and talking about the strangest things that ever happened in your life. Someone else says, yeah, it clearly doesn't identify her, and she wants to file a public lawsuit claiming it is about her. And again, like, what was the one? The freaking Baby Reindeer lawsuit. I need to look at what's going on over there at Baby Reindeer. What's going on with Baby Reindeer? I need to look into that. So essentially, that's what they're doing. But she's saying where she is very hard to get access to the court records. So maybe not that bad for her, right? Okay. So let's see what the comment has to say. Because this is insane. How do you write a book based on your friend's life without asking them permission? And like Thinking Fatal said, this is the best man. The story of the best man. Destined to be says karma is a... Yeah, we got cuss word sounds, okay? Carly Rader says, how long are you on? I'm gonna have to put my demon down. So not the demon. I'm assuming that's a child. I'm almost done. It's a short live stream. Typically try to stay in within an hour. But put my demon down is crazy. Mary Jane dropping a beat. Thanks you for the support. Tanya D said the same thing, not the demon. It's probably going to be a struggle. You can read it, read your demon some Am I the A-hole stories. Maybe it'll make them sleepy. Deacon Fatal says, can't stay long, unfortunately, looking up stuff for work. Yeah, I'm not going to be here long either. We're almost done. This was the last story for the night. Destin the Bee says to Carly Rader, sounds like this is the last one. Yes, it is. It is. Deacon Fatal says, this sounds like the movie. This sounds like that movie. What was it? You got it. Oh boy, says Mary Jane. Carly Rader says, perfect. My demon is 2.5 years old. So story. In bed soon. But don't call it a demon. Now I'm referring to your kid as an it. Deacon Fatal says the movie where Ty Diggs got his behind whoop. Yep, you're right. It was The Best Man. Destiny B says, sounds like the movie The Best Man. Yep, that's what it was. That is what it was. Carly Rader says, sue her. If there is standing, that's weird AF. Yeah, so she could sue her, right? And she might sue it under defamation. And she might sue under her right to publicity. She has the right to publicize herself. She's not in a contract with her friend. So she shouldn't be writing the story without her permission. So there are bases for her to sue. The question is she going to get a lot of money from it? Probably not. Probably not. Okay. And she's not going to get the injunction. Her goal is to not have the story publicized, but it's going to take years to get to a judge to get a decision of whether it can be publicized. And like I said, not likely to get an injunction, not likely to get an order saying you cannot publish this until we resolve this. Not very likely, but because the courts think they can just throw money at stuff and that will resolve the issue, even though the damage might already be out there publicly, if they are allowed to release the book. But it's like, dang, your friend said don't do it, and you still did it. That's wrong. Okay. Deacon Fatal says that's the one. Deacon Destined to Be says for sure, Deacon. Deacon Fatal says I couldn't stand that movie after rewatching it later in life. I haven't watched it in a while. I should. I watched The Best Man Holiday not too long ago, but I should go watch The Best Man. Mary Jane says the problem is if you sue, you make it public. The problem is if you sue, you make public you're the person, but not the a-hole. Yeah, exactly. And she's saying that in her country, wherever she is, it's not easy to access public or to access court documents, and they're not public. Deacon Fatal says that is literally the plot of The Best Man. It really was. Destined to Be says, nah, she needs to cut me a check before I drop the suit. Yeah, like you are selling the rights to my life. You just took the rights to my life instead of me selling it to you. So yeah. Chelsea B says, how would you prove it's about your life though? She would have to say, in the book, it says that my fiance has a foot fetish. And as you can see in these text messages from my fiance, he has a foot fetish. Like, you're going to embarrass yourself a lot more in court than justice is going to do. Destined to Be says, what is she suing for, though? It would probably have to be defamation or her right to publicity. That's the only thing I can think of is her right to publicity, the right for her to tell her own story. Mary Jane says, oh, then I'd say sue. So there's some basis. It just depends on how strong that basis is. Very, very similar to the baby reindeer case that we covered, which hers was defamation. She didn't do all the bad things. And then the other one was her right to publicity. She feels like she should have been able to tell the story in her way, right? Phoenix always says, making a career as an author requires constant inspiration these days. How many other friends' lives will be twisted? Speaking as an author, learn to craft stories. Yeah, that is true. If she gets away with this one, she's probably just going to continue on and on and on until all of her friends are in a novel. That's bad. That's really bad. Destined to Be says exactly to Phoenix Waller, and Deacon Fatal also agrees with Phoenix Waller. Destined to Be says if she makes it a habit, she could end up getting sued for defamation if she writes about the wrong person or her exaggeration becomes too extreme, right? Like we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen on this channel, okay? Deacon Fatal says neither did The Best Man book in that movie. As far as which one? What comment? Carly Rader says, thanks for the vid. Finish later. Demon is getting over it. We are almost done. Anyways, thank you for joining live. Destined to Be says good night to Carly and the little one, the demon. Okay. I haven't heard that one. Deacon Fatal says, gotta head to bed all. It was nice to see you all again. No problem. Thank you for coming. Tanya D or Destined to Be also saying good night. Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining the live stream. I think the overall vote on that one is that she's not the a-hole if she decides to sue. It's just a balancing factor of if she wants to bring herself to the public and cause the Streisand effect, as it seems like the comments have pointed out to her. You're going to draw more attention to yourself, then you are going to get success out of the lawsuit. What are you looking to win? If you're not looking to win money, you're not going to stop her from being able to publish the book. So I'm going to say not the a-hole, but she has to have a personal battle, which it sounds like she already had within herself to determine whether she wants to draw the attention to herself or not, and probably just stop being friends with her because she's saying every time you tell her a story, you inspire her. So how about you cut her out of your life and you don't tell her any more stories, and then she would not be inspired and then her book dies. So her best bet is probably just to stop being this lady's friend at this point. It's not worth the litigation and the cost that it would be. Anyways, y'all, thank you for joining me live tonight. We will be live tomorrow. If I'm not too tired, I've been so tired lately, but if I'm not too tired, we will be live tomorrow talking about the Megan Thee Stallion. I was going to say Meghan Markle. No, we're not talking about Meghan Markle this time. We're talking about Megan Thee Stallion's defamation lawsuit against the YouTuber for basically saying that she was faking with the whole Tory Lanez thing. Like, the lawsuit is insane, and we're going to be covering the judge's order, basically saying that the lawsuit gets to keep going. And that judge, I will say, if I was this YouTuber, I would just pay up. I would just settle, pay up, move on with your life. You'll probably get a lot less. You would probably owe her a lot less money if you just go ahead and settle. If you go ahead and settle, because the judge is tearing that girl apart in the orders, okay? The judge is tearing her apart. And she's not going to have a favorable outcome if it goes to court. So we are going to be covering that on the next live stream, which shall be tomorrow. And just as a warning going forward, I will not be streaming next week. I will be on vacation, so I will not be streaming on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I will try to put out like some clips or something just to keep the channel going, but I will not be live streaming during that time. So anyways, I hope that everyone has a lovely weekend, or not weekend, a lovely night. Thank y'all for joining me on this live stream, and I will see y'all all on the next one.